Hey guys, today on Know Your Produce, we're making a delicious and filling apple cinnamon oatmeal. This is the ultimate fall breakfast, and it's a great way to use all those apples you picked. We have a tendency to get a ton of apples when we're picking because it's just so much fun, but we want to make sure that we're using those apples. And this is a great way to use them every morning aside from just snacking on them and slicing them up for eating. So what I do is I like to chop them into little bite-sized pieces that are perfect for the oatmeal so that nobody's going to get a huge hunk of apple in their oatmeal on the spoon. They're bite-sized pieces, will shrink down a little bit while we're cooking as well. So like I said, bite-sized pieces, and if you want, you could also use a corer to take out that core, or even an apple slicer to slice them down before you cut them with your knife. And then we're just going to do 2 apples. You don't have to use any certain type of apples. Whatever you have on hand will work perfectly in this recipe. Now, don't throw away those cores or any of those bits of apple that you can't use. Put them into your simmer pot. I had the simmer pot on the stove yesterday, and I had an orange simmer pot, and I'm just going to add these apple cores to the simmer pot. You could also just compost this, but I like to smell the house a little bit. It's really good and it's comforting, and you can find that recipe also on our website. So how I'm going to start is I'm going to put those apples into a pot with a little bit of water to cook them down. And then I like to add the cinnamon, so this way the apples get all that cinnamon flavor into the apple, so each bite is flavorful when you take a bite of the apple as well. And then we're just going to give it a mix just to make sure all the cinnamon is in there and not just sitting on the top of the water. So now I'm going to place it on a medium-high heat, and I'm going to put a cover on it because I want to bring these apples to a boil. I want them tender, not crunchy, and not mushy for the oatmeal, so keep seeing how it's doing. You can taste one if you need to. Just remember they're going to be really hot because they have a lot of moisture in them as well. And then once they're ready, you can scoop them up and place them into a bowl and set them aside until we're ready for them. So now I'm going to put my rolled oats into that flavorful water that we just cooked those apples in and give it a little mix, and I'm going to let this come up to a boil. And then once it hits a boil, I'm going to reduce it to a low medium. So this way it's kind of simmering, and if your pan gets too hot, you could just lift it up. I'm actually using a hot plate that doesn't cool down right away, so sometimes I just need to give it a little bit of a lift. So if you have an electric stove, you can just lift it up or even move it to another burner if it's getting too hot. Now I'm going to add in my sweetener. I'm just using a little bit of maple syrup. You could use your preferred sweetener, whatever works, or you could even leave it out if you want to just have the apples sweeten this recipe on their own. And then I'm going to add those apples back once the oatmeal is mostly cooked down, and they're just going to cook together and really mix it all and combine it. Before we serve up our oatmeal, I actually like to add a little bit of plant-based milk. I'm using our homemade oat milk, so if you need a recipe for that, be sure to go to knowyourproduce.com and check it out because it's so super simple and easy, and it just makes it a little bit more creamy. And then once we put this into the serving bowls, I actually like to reserve a little bit of those cooked apples, place those on top, and then another drizzle of our oat milk. It's so comforting. It's one of our favorites. We hope you like and enjoy this recipe as much as we do. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you soon.